back to sleep. It wasn't that good. Don't sleep on milk. It's not good for you. But if I'm really going to do something that's like me, I would talk about prayer and meditation a lot. But you don't want to be preachy, because people, I just got people in my mind right now, and you know who you are, people in my life who are like, I'm just like, I hear them saying, don't you dare preach to me. And I don't want to be a preacher. I don't like preachers myself. But these things are always on my mind. Somebody's behind me, like, talking loud, and it's hard for me to concentrate. See, I want to control the city. That's it. I want to control this city so that I'm the only one preaching and speaking. That's really what I have in me. I have I won't say cult leader, because they get a bad rap. People die in big chunks under their leadership. But there is something about the comedian, the writer, the person who wants to be heard. And what I don't understand is, why is it that some people want to be heard, other people admit to wanting to be heard, and some people say, well, don't talk so much, or don't be so big, or don't take over so much, or don't dominate, so that I can be heard, or so that what? So others can be heard? I don't know. Who's supposed to be heard? I never understand that, because ever since I was little, I was big, I was loud. My mom was like, I can hear you above everybody. Well, she was tuned into me, you know, above everybody. I think she was sensitive to my voice, and sensitive to my ability to, you know, tell family secrets and stuff like that. So anyway, this is the first thing that came out in my first walking video vlog, and I feel like they're a little too intense and a little too crazy. Hey-ya! You know that ding ding on the door? All these things are so good to capture. These are the sounds of my life. I don't even hear them now. They go by me. I don't even notice them. And now I'm in Clark Street. Sometimes I get up at Borough Hall, sometimes I get up at Clark Street. And I get up at Clark Street because it's a nicer walk home. It's, there's less store stuff going on, and you can just walk and make your way down a nice, you know, part. It's like a nicer angle towards the house. It's almost like living in denial. Like, I don't want to look at the other stuff that leads to my house. Town. And then the other dream was this group of sort of trailer park people. It was like a mixed race. There was one black guy who was the main aggressor, and there was like this white girl who was the main psychological aggressor in the group. He represented like the physical aggression. She represented the cunning and calculating side of human nature, I think, in my view. Does that mean that I think all white women are cunning and calculating? I don't know. But I'm laying it out there for the symbology that my unconscious decided to wash up on the shores of my waking life last night. It means something, and I got to keep an open mind about what it means. And these people were all doing some kind of scheming, like hyenas, you know. There was just sort of this basic idea that they were gathered around outside, and there was something inside that they wanted to extract, take from us. And it's all fear. It's all just like the fear that is in all of us about, you know, why do we have doors and locks or anything? Because there's this dim fear that we're going to be assailed in some way. Unless, of course, we're tuned into love and then find ourselves momentarily, or, as we're promised by certain enlightened spiritual masters, eternally freed from that state of contracted fear. So there I am. And they're outside and they're making their threats, and at a certain point I was like, these people are encroaching too much, too closely on my family. And I went outside and I was like in this blood rage, you know, bloodlust, and I was just expressing to them no. And I even said to the guy who was heading up the physical sort of threat charge, I said, if you I said, I may lose here. I said, you look like you can fight. I said, I may lose here today, but I will kill you. Where did this come from? I will kill you. It might not be today. You may win, but I will kill you. And I think what it was is not so much that I fear, because I've been having actually a significantly reduced amount of fear and anxiety levels given some spiritual work that I'm doing lately. And so I don't know, I was going to make a point there, but then I had to justify that my life is not as rife with fear as these dreams make it sound. But, oh, the difference is I'm standing up. And I guess I'm thinking in the dream, some part of me, maybe my instincts tell me it's some young part of me that thinks that your boundary setting needs to be nuclear in order to be effective. And maybe that's, you know, I think there's some truth there that I've gone along, bouncing along in life, sort of going along with things. And then when it comes time to set a boundary, I don't set one. And then when it comes time to set one, it comes out ragefully. That's interesting because I did set some boundaries or express some limitations of what I could offer to the improv group on Saturday night. And it could be something to do with that. I have had the notion that, like, okay, if you postpone doing something that's very important to do in order to live socially, like set boundaries, if you postpone that for years and years and years and years, just because you wait 30 years to do it doesn't mean any part of that part of you has grown. So I'm saying the part of me that stops setting boundaries at age 10 and then tries to set a boundary at age 45 is still the same level of maturity when I stopped doing that thing, or never learned to do it properly, or whatever, or learned that it wasn't safe to do, learned that people would hate you. Because I did feel some anger come back at me from my improv group. It wasn't terrible, it wasn't nuclear, but there was disgruntlement with me expressing what I needed in terms of what I was able to give, in terms of like extra time, and then, and then other things. I was wondering if other things were being called into question, like my whole dedication to excellence, and all these other issues that I didn't even know were something for me, were carried weight. Anyway, I didn't know there was this much that I had to say on this, and I'm going to learn by watching these if the amount of verbosity or verbal energy that I have to dedicate to something, which I normally see other people nodding out before I get to the end of it, or I have this ongoing quest to find my audience, and I guess that would be the people who don't nod out. I guess that's how you know who your audience is. People that don't nod out with the points you're making or the points you're working your way towards finding. There's also something to be said for doing the first, second, third drafts of an idea in private, polishing them up, and then presenting them. But there's something beautiful about rawness and finding your way towards thoughts, and there's something alive about this. Anyway, we'll see.